Hello, everyone. I'm Jamie Simmons, the product manager for Zipwake here at Imtra Corporation. Today, we're going to do a presentation on interceptors in Zipwake.
The inventor Charles Kettering once said, "A problem well stated is a problem half solved." At Zipwake, the problem we identified is one faced by boat builders around the world. Having no choice but to address the well-known trim problems of planing and semi-planing boats with slow, inefficient conventional trim tabs, we wanted to find a better way, and this is how we arrived at the solution that is revolutionizing the boat world. In 2011, a carefully selected team of hydrodynamicists and engineering experts set out to develop the world's first high-quality yet affordable dynamic trim control system for all planing and semi-planing boats. And in 2014, they delivered it. Today, Zipwake Trim Control Systems are mass-produced to exacting standards at our state-of-the-art facilities in Sweden. It's a truly unique solution designed for boaters everywhere. And our skilled sales and marketing team in Gothenburg is there to ensure that our partners across the globe have all the support they need to communicate the Zipwake message. For safety, comfort, and affordability, Zipwake stands alone, and the boat world will never be the same. We know there's nothing quite like skimming over the water in perfect harmony with the wind and waves. It's a feeling that everyone should be able to experience, and Zipwake is for everyone.
Okay, Zipwake comes fully standard, fully automatic. The system includes a gyro sensor, accelerometer, and GPS built into the unit. It uses those three parameters to give you fully automatic roll control, pitch control, and turn assist. The great thing about Zipwake is the end user can turn the system on and it's going to do everything for you. The customer is not going to have to look at the trim system at all or touch anything, make any adjustments. The idea is to go out boating and have an enjoyable experience, and they don't have to worry about trimming the boat. So in our market, we certainly see a technology shift over the last 3 to 4 years, especially since Zipwake was taken on by us in 2017. Traditional trim tabs, as you can see on the left here, generally electric, hydraulic, or pneumatic, use actuators to come off the transom or could be recessed in pockets. On the right-hand side, you can see an example of an interceptor. Blade is generally mounted on the back of the transom or in a pocket, and the blade comes vertically straight up and down in the water column. So there's quite a few advantages of the interceptor technology over traditional trim tabs. As you can see in this drawing, this is an example of how the lift is generated between the two systems. The bottom is a traditional trim tab. As you can see, both systems generate lift with the arrows pointing up. However, the interceptor is much more efficient at lift generation. As you can see, it takes the lift generation and pinpoints it directly on the transom behind the blade, as the traditional trim tab generates lift as well, but spreads it over a much larger area, which also creates significantly more drag than the interceptor throw. The interceptors also allow for less wake and have 5 times faster actuation than traditional trim tabs, which makes them especially efficient with the roll control because they can react in real time. I'm going to touch on the installation of the system. It's quite simple. Here's the simple system overview. As you can see, installation is really simple. There's no external sensors or anything like that. The brains of the unit's all built into the head unit. All the cabling is CAN bus plug-and-play style. You have your controller up in the helm area. You can daisy chain a second one or an external antenna. Then you have a single cable that runs down to your distribution, which generally is mounted in the bilge. You have 6 ports for interceptors. You can run up to 6 total, 3 on starboard, 3 on port. And you have a single power supply coming into the distribution, 12 to 32 volts, and then the interceptors plug in individually to those ports. This is a breakdown of the interceptor. As you can see, you have the back plate. The back plate is fastened to the transom, and then you have the servo. The servo would be fastened to the back plate, and then you have the front plate, which includes the blade itself, which would be fastened then down over the servo to the back plate. Built into the system, there is an interceptor check that is stated in the instructions that you're supposed to run. And basically, it does a sweep cycle on the system, drops the blades 10 times on each side, and sends you diagnostics back to the head unit. And that allows you to see if your system is operating in the right amp loads in the servos, so the boat doesn't go in the water without the system working in the proper area. We offer a variety of different shapes and sizes of interceptors. This is the straight series, comes in 4 different sizes. You start with the largest at the 750 millimeter units, then you drop down to the 600 millimeter units, 450 and 300. We also, new to the range in the past year, we added the chine interceptors. This was really added to help out the outboard market that's been growing in our area over the last few years. It's really skyrocketed. And the issue when you add triples and quads and even 5 or 6 outboards on the transom, these boats have very limited space for trim systems. So we came up with a solution to add an interceptor. As you can see here is a chine, 20-degree chine, which is pretty common throughout boat builders in our market. And we can actually mount this interceptor to match the chine where you wouldn't traditionally be able to mount a standard trim tab. So this allows us to get trim systems on outboard power boats and get out of that cavitational zone. And the nice thing about the chine interceptors is they're super efficient, especially for roll control, because you're now able to mount them farther outboard, which makes them really effective for roll control. The other interceptor that we came up with was an intermediate interceptor. This one was designed to be mounted close to propellers. So whether your boat's an IO or an outboard powered boat, in the past with the straight interceptors, we had what you call a free zone. It would be 3 inches outboard and 4 inches inboard, where we couldn't mount any interceptor within those range of the propeller due to cavitational issues. Now we have the intermediate interceptor, which allows us to mount these in between props, and you can run this all the way up to the propeller's edges. As you can see, what we did here, instead of have a straight blade, they rounded off the blade to take away those cavitational edges off the side. Here's an example of a chine setup, a common setup on an outboard power boat, triple setup here. You see the 300 chines outboard and 2 intermediates inboard. This just digs into the system a little bit in terms of how the functionality of the system works, and it gives you a nice little overview here. When you install the system, it's simply you add in the length, the beam, the weight, and it automatically senses the interceptors that are hooked up to the system. You hit OK, and it's automatically going to calculate pitch and roll angles. As you can see, it takes about 15 seconds for that to boot, and then you're all set. As we discussed earlier, this is the interceptor check that you should do once the installation's done. Does that sweep cycle, and then it's going to send you back that diagnostics report we discussed. You want to have all the amp readings in the green on the scale. So in manual, use the vertical pitch wheel to adjust pitch up and down. You can also manually control roll using a larger outside wheel going from left to right. However, most users are going to put it in auto mode, and it's going to do your pitch and roll control for you automatically, so you don't have to touch anything. So one of the most important adjustments you can do while you're in auto is you can adjust the gyro sensor sensitivity. So if you feel like you need more roll control given the C state, you can turn it up. 10 would be the highest, 1 would be the slowest, and the default is 5. So it comes at 5. If you want to slow down the roll reaction, you can drop it down to a 2 or 3, or if you feel like you need to have more reaction out of the gyro sensor, you can turn it up towards 10. The other nice thing about the auto mode is if you are in a certain seaway and you feel like you need to have more pitch control, you can override the pitch control simply with that vertical wheel. So basically it's going to drop the bow down or bring the bow up as you like in auto, but it's still going to do the roll control for you. So Zipwake has become really popular in our market. We just want to show you some examples of some OEMs that are currently using the system here as standard equipment. We currently have over 85 OEMs currently using the equipment in the States.